Hello, Grandpa.
Hey,
I have to interview you for this history project, so I have just 10 questions for you.
10 questions. All right. Good number. 10 commandments.
Yep. What event made you want to enlist, if you did, or did you get drafted, and what was it like when you got the draft notice?
Short and sweet, Daddy.
Well,
I wanted to go to Germany.
they were drafting the young men of my age in that time period when I was 18. And I tried to join one of the services. I was looking for I figured if I would join instead of being drafted, but my number was coming up real quick, because this is November, and they were picking out, they were scraping the bottom of the pick, I thought, I'm gonna go in the Army. So I went down to see if I could get a deal, Maybe I get a school, maybe I'll learn something. I'll be out there just in the boonies. So, for some reason, I couldn't pass the security. Maybe because my father was a naturalized citizen. My grandfather was living in the country, was a citizen of the Canadian country. He was living legally. However, that being said, I had a couple of uncles in the Army. He was World War II. My father served as a prisoner of war camp in the prisoner. And one of my uncles was in the 82nd Airborne. He jumped in Europe, in Italy. And I had another uncle that served in the medical corps. It was a very traumatic thing for him to see they prepare the bodies as they come back all shot up.
All right, I got another question for you. What was the basic training like? What was boot camp like when you first got into the military?
So I ended up joining the Navy because I couldn't get the deal, so to speak, that I needed. I thought I needed. So I joined the Navy, took the tests. They said, well, okay, here, you got three choices. You can be an electronics technician, you can be an aviation technician, or you can be some other kind of, fire control technician. And I said, well, gee, I didn't know A from B from C, I knew what electronics was, Now remember, this was the era when it was tubes, electronic tubes. Transistors hadn't been invented yet, or if they were very hush-hush. So I joined. They guaranteed me a school, of course, to be an electronics technician. And so I went to school, went to boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois, learned how to jump off a burning ship. They put you up on a big platform, and you have to jump off, like simulate the ship is sinking, and a certain way you can do it. Then you have to come, and they tell you how to use your clothes to make emergency flotation. Those bell bottoms that you used to use, you see the sailors used to have. For their reason, they're a bell bottom, because you can make an air pocket, and it gets wet and it holds you, and will keep you somewhat buoyant for a while, and so you could save yourself in an emergency. And you have to swim underwater, and then we went down on the firing range. We did some small arms, 1 or 2 days of firing. Nothing to be brag about, not intensive small arms, because the Navy small arms goes to the Marine Corps. They're the experts in hand-to-hand We just have to deliver the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my training boot camp, how to keep the ship from sinking. If you take a hit, catch a fire, you wouldn't think that steel would burn. It burns.
So, since you were in the Navy and you were a technician, can you tell me a little bit about what that was like when you were serving in the war?
Well, I shipped out. I was on the USS Boston. It's one size under the battleship. Had the cannons on it were 8 inches in diameter. The muzzle. Imagine that. How big that bullet was.
It's a big bullet.
It's a big bullet. And we went down to Guantanamo Bay area, and we prepped a little bit down there. Then we sailed through the Panama Canal. Went to refuel in Hawaii, and we ended up in the South China Sea. Well,
You can take a second.
they would every night they would have it like a train. They would have a booth to say maybe 10 ships, 10 little junks, whatever, motorboats, whatever, and they're bringing supplies and men to reinforce their troops in the South. And one of our missions was to intercept that. I don't know how many of those boats we sunk. 1,000, well, I won't say 1,000, 100 at least. And then once in a while, we would get a call they had spotters along the coast. They would call for fire when there was a concentration of enemy troops. So we would train those big guns around that would shoot 15 miles into the country, and you could, support destroy the enemy. Basically. I'll never forget the one time we were firing, and I said, "Wow!" I said, "What was the target?" He said, "Well, they were gathering in a church. They were using the church as a staging area, and we blasted the hell out of them." And that kind of set me back a bit. The ugliness of the war, in war.
I'll be in this.
And another time we had a mission. We sailed up the Haiphong River. That's right up to Hanoi. All their armaments were pointed up. They were expecting an air attack. The USAF and the Navy jets would fly missions, so they were ready to shoot them down. Well, they didn't expect a big old ship to come up in the middle of the night. And we, of course, along the coast of the they have fuel tanks and things like that. We laid some artillery fire down, turned that ship around, hightailed it out. Man, that was one time I was below decks, and one of the artillery shells came out and exploded right near me. I thought I was going to die. It's kind of funny now. But anyways, we made it out of there, and so we did Navy things. Big old ship. It wasn't. They had those little patrol boats. Them boys there get shot up a lot. They were really brave. We harsh year, I guess.
Where in the West?
All right. What supplies or like rations? What type of rations were you given while you were serving?
They weren't bug free. I remember spitting the cockroaches out of the bread. Well, hey, they're dead. Yeah, it's all protein. We had a dead body, and we had one of the, somebody had done something, suicide or never was clear, you know, those hush hush. But he was dead. Was a sailor. And they didn't know. They put him in the freezer. So that was the big joke, you know. The meat was tough, and the food was poor. God, what are we eating? You know. We thought maybe it's him, but we knew it wasn't. It's just a joke. Yeah, it was nothing to brag about. It was edible, but it was World War II stuff. Sea rats, whatever they call them.
What was the toughest part or the best part about serving in the war?
The best part was coming home, getting the hell out of there. The toughest part is the constant battle quarters. You know, just the ship is in battle readiness. They can get you too big, stuck. You can't go from one part to the other. You have to stay at your station. And you just there for hours, and then you hear the cannon fire, you know. Listen, you hear the jets flying over.
Good. That's a
Nice
fatty
water
piece.
right there for you, Dad.
Fatty piece. That's good. I love the fat.
So, you know, that's hard. You don't know what's happening. You know, you're just doing your little part. You know, as a radio man or as a electronics technician or as a radar technician up in combat down in the machinery room. You know, everybody's. You know, you just constant. When you're in the battle zone. And then of course there's relief. We pulled into the Philippines. We had shot so much we had to barrel our cannons. And we rearmed the ship and then floated back out again.
God dang.
I don't know if you're hungry.
I'm not right now. Did you go to school after the war, or did you just pick up a trade?
Well, I already had a trade, but I tried to go to school because I had veteran VA benefits, and that was. But what they don't tell you is the government works very slow. So you get out, you apply, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. In the meantime, your benefits are not coming.
Right.
And you have a part-time job, but you can't support yourself and your family. So I had to give it up and find full-time work. And finally, the time I got hired and started working, oh well, hey, Mr. Nato, you can your VA benefits are coming through. Yeah, well, take them and stuff them. Yeah. So don't rely on the government for benefits.
Did you continue any relationships with friends that you made in the military?
No, not really. When I got out, I was just finished. I'll tell you, we were in the battle group in 1973, I think it was, in the Yom Kippur War. The Jewish people were shooting it out with the Arabs. Of course, the Arabs were getting all their ammunition and all their advisors from the Russians. They desperately wanted to kick the American butt, they wanted to beat the Israelis, and then make the United States look bad, and maybe even sink some of their ships also.
Right.
And but as long as we were an intact battle group, we were able to interfere with their plans. They would run their ships through our formation at high speed. Of course, this is all on the high seas now, and trying to provoke us to make one move, one false move. Of course, you're in the battles. You're always in the battles, ready for whatever, when you. So it wasn't fun. I mean, and the ship I was on, I'm sure it had atomic torpedoes on it, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't say for sure because they never tell you. But it did have rocket. This was a smaller ship when I was. This is the last part, my last part of the enlistment. And I thought to myself, my gosh, this is, if this one of these guys makes a bad move, it's World War III, because I'm sure the Russians have. It's their playground, and so once the fuse is lit, and I said, this ship will sink. It'll be all hell will break loose. I thought to myself, you know what? Vietnam and this here, you know what? This ain't worth it. I'll just come back, and if I'm going to die, I'm going to die with my family. And so that's how when I parted. When I parted the service, I had the chance to be E7, which is a pretty big honor. But I said, it isn't worth this war business. And of course, it wasn't long after they were in the war again in Iraq. So I think I made the right choice. So I was 35 by then. So for me, it wasn't.
It was just what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I like the electronics and the camaraderie, but war is
Nasty.
It's nasty. And
So,
I
Jake,
don't care who you're in.
I don't know what that is, but it's a handshake.
So when I got out, I tried to. That's when I run into the VA, tried to get some training, so I get some certifications. No. Yeah, so, and worked in the shipyard in Jacksonville for a while. And I had a buddy who was working, had an opening at the JEA for an electrical person. And so I applied for that, and I was able to get on full time there. That was my beginning of a career with the JEA. They were building the Northside Power Plant at the time. So it was a piece of cake for an electronic technician. I mean, you could read schematics, you could read wiring diagrams, you understood the flow of color codes, electric codes,
Can you do it again?
all this stuff. So you learn all that.
So,
What should the generations after you learn from your experiences in the war?
there you go. That's a good job.
Well,
You made him do that.
serve your country, do the best, stay close to God. For everything you do, those young men that were on the being offloaded from the ship, they had met their maker. Hopefully they're in a better place now. So always be prepared. No matter what you do it with a clear conscience and do it with God's approval. Don't go out and drink beer and smoke dope and everything else and then expect to be a good guy, because you're screwing your family, you're screwing people that trust you. So that's what you could learn from all that.
All right, I got one last question for you, Grandpa. Did your military experience change any of your original points of view going into the war after you came out? Like, did any of your thoughts change after you came out the war?
Well, it's the same feeling. Don't, if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you're called for duty, do your best. But always stay close to God. No, nothing changed. I went in as a believing Christian, and I came out as a believing Christian. Only I was a little bit smarter and wiser now. I could see
You
that
have one, just got 10.
for some reason
Yeah.
I was able to live longer. You know, I wasn't called to do
There was 2 in.
It was,
And two on the board.
missions. You
One on
know,
the board. My bad.
Thank you, Grandpa.
yeah.